Itachi Uchiha is one of the most popular characters in Naruto by about a country mile, and the more popular a character gets, the more divisive they become. Within the power scaling community in particular, there's always two camps. One that wanks Itachi to high heaven, and one that downplays him into the depths of hell. There's not much middle ground here. The one thing both camps do seem to agree on though, is that Itachi has horrible stamina, and that it's the main thing holding him back from being a top tier in versus debates. But what if I told you that Itachi actually has pretty good stamina? Hell, great even. Even though Itachi is one of my personal favorite characters in Naruto, if not my favorite, I like to think that I'm pretty fair and realistic when it comes to power scaling him. So in this video I'll be going over Itachi's overlooked and underrated stamina to hopefully convince you that it's really nowhere near as bad as most people think. Before we discuss Itachi at his best though, we first have to look at him at his worst, and that would be Itachi during his fight with Sasuke in part 2. This was quite literally Itachi on his deathbed. He could not possibly get any worse than this. Keep that in mind as we discuss his feats. So before he even fought Sasuke, he had a brief scuffle/sparring session with Kisame where he used a fair bit of jutsu such as the Crow Clone Jutsu, the Fireball Jutsu, and possibly even Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu. He also engaged Kisame in a bit of Taijutsu as well, and he had his Sharingan active the whole time. Nothing really crazy here, but just something to keep in mind. Also, if you're wondering why I'm using the OVA from Storm Generations, I explain all of this in this video, so check it out if you want to learn more. Now, moving on to the Sasuke stuff, Itachi first engages him with a Crow clone before even meeting him physically. So this is the second use of the Crow clones. Something interesting to keep in mind is that Crow clones don't split your chakra in half like regular Shadow clones, but they still probably use a fair bit of chakra, so they should definitely be put into consideration here. Then he actually meets Sasuke and they exchange like a billion Sharingan Genjutsu. Itachi makes another Crow clone. Itachi then uses Tsukuyomi, which takes up an insane amount of chakra. Itachi is then injured by Sasuke's Rick Shuriken and is bleeding out from this point forth. He also potentially takes a Chidori to the face, which is like insane, but I don't know, it seems to be the case. I mean, he was mid-air and we see him being sent flying backwards, which would make a whole lot of sense if he wasn't hit by the Chidori, but anyway, moving on. He then fires a massive fire style jutsu at Sasuke, and then immediately fires another one to clash with Sasuke's own fireball, but is quickly overpowered. He then burns out Sasuke's fireball using Amaterasu. Much like Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu takes up an enormous amount of chakra to use. He then uses Amaterasu again, and quite a lot too, enough to cover a big portion of the mountain the Uchiha hideout was on. Itachi then gets grazed by one of Sasuke's fireballs and gets slightly burned, and then Kirin is revealed, and Itachi activates his Susanoo ribcage in order to survive it. Now you gotta keep in mind, the Susanoo takes up a lot of chakra like all Mangekyo Sharingan Jutsu, but it also causes its user excruciating pain. Sasuke described it as hurting every cell in his body, and that bozo was completely healthy, so imagine how it felt for Itachi. Anyway, after all that, Itachi activated the Susanoo again and wrapped it up to full possession form. He then fodderized Orochimaru's ultimate technique quite casually and sealed him with the Totsuka blade. And then he took every single thing Sasuke had left to throw his way, and then he made it all the way to Sasuke and used the sealing jutsu to program Amaterasu into his eyes. And then he finally dropped dead. So, having said all that, I want to ask you guys, if any shinobi other than Itachi did all that, would anyone honestly say they had bad stamina? Keep in mind, bro had the Sharingan active the whole time, which takes up a significant amount of chakra as we know via Kakashi. He used several Mangekyo Sharingan Jutsu, used several Fire Style Jutsu, used many Clone Jutsu, used the Susanoo. He did all that while dying from a terminal illness. Like, bro was literally on his deathbed. He should have been fighting, he should have been on life support, and he still outlasted Sasuke, by the way, who was a healthy, prime teenager. If Itachi wanted to, he could have genuinely put Kisame, Sasuke, and Orochimaru on a freaking t-shirt in a single day, and people have the audacity to say that his stamina is bad. Insane, man. Alright, now that we've covered him at his absolute worst, let's look at a more healthy Itachi. Even as a 6-year-old child who has yet to fully develop physically, he was able to run at top speed for 4 hours straight. 4 hours, dude! Like, that's actually fucking nuts. As an 8-year-old, he was able to seriously spar with Shisui for several hours. They sparred for like 35 rounds in total, with each round lasting about 9 minutes. Again, elite stamina. Like, elite boxers in the real world only do around a dozen rounds, with each one being like 3 minutes long. And we got this dude out here like having a full-on spar session for 7 straight hours. Insane. During the Chunin exams when he was like 10 years old, he was able to continuously dodge his opponent for well over 10 minutes straight without even breaking a sweat. And finally, during the Uchiha massacre when he was only like 13, he could use his Mangekyo Sharingan for an extended period of time and unleashed powerful and very chakra attacks and techniques such as Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu several times that night, in addition to running around and killing at least dozens of his clansmen. Then during the events of part 1, when he was likely sick by that point, he was able to use Tsukuyomi twice, and Amaterasu on top of that, in addition to a number of other techniques such as Shadow Clones, which literally cut his chakra in half, and Water Style Jutsu, and again had his Sharingan active constantly the whole time. So, another impressive feat I want to mention is Itachi participating in the Biju extraction ritual with the other Akatsuki members. It's basically 3 days without moving, sleeping, eating, or drinking, and throughout those 3 days they are constantly pumping the sealing jutsu with their chakra. In part 2, a while before his fight with Sasuke, Itachi even gave away 30% of his chakra to a clone while he was using the sealing jutsu. Another time, they had to seal 2 Biju back to back, so the ritual took 6 whole days. 6 days of constant chakra output without moving or sleeping. Pretty insane if you ask me. Now, I know this isn't a combat feat or anything, but it's still quite impressive because it shows that even a sick Itachi can hang in with the other Akatsuki members and perform just as well as any of them. So I guess at the end of the day, what I want to achieve with this video is to just end the Itachi stamina downplay, man. Even at his absolute worst, he's really not even that bad. And at his best, he's an absolute monster. So next time when we have a debate involving a prime, healthy Itachi, I never want to hear anything along the lines of, oh, he'll use Amaterasu once or twice and then gas out. Like, come on, man. Stamina really shouldn't even be a factor here unless he's fighting like fucking Hashirama or something. And let's be real, in that case, stamina's like the least of his concerns anyway. So yeah, man, just stop sleeping on my goat's stamina, for real. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and share your thoughts on Itachi in the comment section below. Hope you guys are having a good one. See you next time.
Bye bye!